Bounds, Brant, Phillips, that I know, like, and trust and appreciate the way that they do their business. And there are a lot of people in the real estate world, real estate investing. These are the guys that I'm in alignment with, and more importantly, because they've done what I want to create. So if you don't know Brant, great man of faith, family man. He's got 6 kids, married, and he started his real estate investing career 16 years ago. Police officer, left that, bought 10 houses his first year, no cash out of pocket. Has anybody done that? Anybody want to do that? Is that why we're here? Right? So from there, over the last 16 years, he's done everything in between, building a portfolio all the way to what he's doing now, land development, mobile home RV parks, private money lending, everything in between. So he's going to share with you some of that, especially around raising money in a recession that we're going into, regardless of the economic climate. Brant has the blueprint. He's actually put that together in a book, and he's going to go through and share that with you tonight. So love to invite up my friend, business partner, Brant Phillips.
All right. How come more hands didn't go up whenever he asked who else wants to do that? Maybe in the wrong room. There's a insurance seminar down the road. Well, thank you everybody for coming. I'm just going to get right into it if everybody's good with that. I have a lot to cover. I'm going to do my best to get you out of here by midnight tonight. I know it's work night. I wish I was kidding. I could go on. I have a lot to cover, and I'm like really fired up. I took a little bit of a break from speaking. It's like I used to speak a lot, like almost like every single week, definitely multiple times a month, and I love to speak, but it took a little time during COVID. I only have 5 kids, not 6 kids, so there's a lot going on. And I hope I don't have 6 kids. Ben, do you know something that I don't know? Yeah. This is my nephew. He's not one of my kids, but he's like a kid to me. So anyway, so I did take a little downtime, and really it was sometimes you got to slow down to go faster, right? Does that make sense to everybody? Sometimes you're going to take a little break and take a little downtime. So I haven't taken a break the last couple of years. I've been really, really busy focusing on my businesses, building them out so they can run and operate without me and grow without me to free up more time to do more things, to do more speaking, do more coaching, do more teaching, not have more kids though. So that being said, I'm going to drink a lot of water tonight. I got a lot to talk about tonight, Tom. Tom's watching me and judging me, I can tell. Taking notes, right? I've got some critiques in the room coming. All right. So that being said, y'all ready? Y'all ready to learn? Y'all going to take notes tonight? You're going to take notes? Like this is like really like this is the stuff that changed my life. Like honestly and sincerely. And I've put a lot of time, energy, and effort into this presentation. Okay? So I really sometimes whenever you do free events that kind of bug me, like when we were running our network meeting for years, like we'd have people come to a free event. We'd have I would speak, we'd have guest speakers speak, we had big time speakers speak, and someone complain about free food. And so, but the psychology is this, right? So the psychology is this, is people usually don't value much if they haven't, if there's not an exchange of value. If they haven't given much for it, they don't perceive value. Right? So if I charge $1,000 for you to come listen tonight, you'd be showing up with notes ready to go. So maybe consider that, because I've charged a lot more for what you're going to get tonight. Just saying. So y'all ready to go? And I feed off energy. So if energy's low, I can go low. Trust me, I can go low. All right. So what's tonight about? It's not about this. Your excuses, past failures, sit and listen to me lecture, wasting time, and taking advantage of others. I'm talking about lenders, other people in the marketplace. This market that we're entering into, the same thing. I don't care about your past. I don't care about your excuses. I don't care about, shoulda, woulda, couldas, blah, 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 stuff in the past. Nobody wants to hear that stuff. We all got junk and stuff that we could use and say, woe is me, and sitting there crying, and guess what you're going to do? You're going to sit there and miss the next opportunity. Because I've heard a lot of shoulda, woulda, couldas when 2008, 9 to 11 passed. Man, if I would have just bought more houses. Man, if I could have this or I could have that. Shut up. I'm sorry. Get off your rear end and go. And now's the time to go. All right, now's the time to go. Has everybody seen Fight Club? Yeah, everybody seen Fight Club? What's the first rule of Fight Club? You don't talk about Fight Club. What's the first rule of Raising Money Club? No, it's not. You don't talk about it. I want you to talk about it, actually. But it's this. This is the first rule of the Raising Money Club. You don't even think about raising money unless you're 100% committed to honoring your word and protecting your lenders. So I've seen a lot of foolishness and just criminal behavior with people taking advantage of lenders. And I'm like 100%, I'm teaching this, I want it to be used properly. You can do whatever you want, but, as Big Ben says, it takes, many good deeds to build a good reputation, one bad to lose it. And there's examples of this, right? So you go out there doing things the wrong way, what we're talking, it's criminal behavior. It's criminal behavior. And I know this guy, and he's in jail, and I know other people who are in jail. So this is not like to be treated lightly. And I've seen a lot of people, not a lot, but I've seen some others who probably should be in jail. I know things they've done. I don't like it. I don't teach that, and I don't preach that. All right, so that's really important. So that's the first time of me telling my wife I just raised a bunch of private money. So, I came home. This was 2009. I'll get into a little bit of my story and paint the picture. But I do remember, I came home and I was like, I had some lenders say yes. One particular lender, and she's like, "Wow, that's great. That's so awesome. You can go buy more houses now, and that's what you want. Woohoo!" And I just remember the weight of the world on my shoulders, and I'm like, because I was just on the brink of quitting my job. It's 2009. There's doom and gloom, and I had all this weight on my shoulders. Like, what if I don't perform? What if things go wrong? And I just had this gravity feeling like, man, this is really serious what we're doing here. And I remember telling her this. It was really important. I said, look, here's the thing, because I would have been in the business a little 2.5 years. And I said, if things ever go wrong, with business, my lenders are going to come first. We'll sell our house, we'll do whatever we got to do. I'm going to take care of them. So it was a really a serious thing for me, and I've treated it that way ever since. And don't think your lenders don't know how committed you are. If you're playing all in, they'll know it, they'll feel it, they'll sense it. And if they don't sense it, they're not going to invest with you, right? So that's really, really important thing. Okay, I talked about some things tonight's not about. Let's talk about what it's about. Hacking limiting beliefs. For those of you who know me or follow me know that I'm a big mindset guy. I believe it all starts here or ends here, vice versa. And if you don't have the head game down, you're not going to succeed. There's too many challenges, obstacles, pitfalls in business. Forget about it. If you don't have this game up here, dialed in, you're not going to succeed. You may succeed for a market, right? For a cycle, for a short term, for a deal, but it's not sustainable, right? You have something bigger driving you, like a bigger purpose, a bigger mission. Money's not going to motivate you long enough. Money almost motivates me a little bit, but not like the other bigger, more important things. So I'm a big mindset guy, and I'm going to incorporate that into tonight. We're going to talk about practical, proven strategies. These are real things that happen, real conversations about opportunities before us. That's kind of another reason why I'm kind of coming out of my hibernation, so to speak, is because there's a great opportunity here. Time for us to capitalize on it. And at the same time, helping others at the same time. Because there's a lot of fear and uncertainty in the marketplace with private lenders. And they're, concerned, worried about what to do with their money, with their hard-earned capital, not trusting Wall Street. And it's time for investors like us to rise up and create win-win situations. And lastly, really just setting the stage so we can all move forward collectively to build our businesses. I'm not an attorney, I'm not an accountant, a certified financial advisor, not telling anyone you can easily do this. I'm not offering anyone a security or opportunity to invest with myself. Some of my high school teachers would tell you I'm not even very smart, but I graduated barely. So a little bit about me. I know a lot of you guys know me. Some of you don't probably know me from Adam. And there's a recording, so I'll share my story real quick. Not to brag or boast, to impress, but to impress upon you a few things. So when I got started, after 7 years in law enforcement, and then I went to a very discouraging, depressing corporate job that I did not make much money at. And I was relatively depressed, and I had no map or mission or mindset of what to do about it. And my wife and I were broke at this point in time, living in an apartment, had no money. We went through a Dave Ramsey course. Everybody went through Dave Ramsey. And so that was good because up to that point, like, we were financially illiterate. Like, we had no financial education whatsoever. We had bad credit card debt and all that kind of stuff. It's like, oh, if we could pay our credit cards this month, that was good. And we always paid our bills, but we had student loans and we had stupid debt. It was like bad debt, what it is. And we did what uneducated people do. And so we kind of found ourselves in this spot where, she's a hairstylist and I'm at this job that I hate at Ecolab, like selling dishwashing soap and detergent and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, there's got to be something more. And so very fortuitous meeting with somebody kind of gave me a little motivation and a direction, and I took it and I ran with it in terms of, he just told me, like, look into real estate, basically. And he's like, yeah, you can do it. I had nothing, and just encouraged me. Never talked to the guy again after that, except 2 times years later, and kind of just to thank him. And I just took the ball and run with it. And that first year, like Ben mentioned, I like to mention this, is my first year in real estate, my wife and I the year previously went through this Dave Ramsey thing, and we did. We paid off our credit cards, like the woohoo, we're debt free. Literally, like the same month that we were like debt free, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. And so, talking about, these are 2 different, dynamics going on here, right? And I'm jumping ahead to another slide, but I went to a Barnes and Noble store too, and I'm looking at these books, and I'm like, you can do, looking at Bill Allen, like, hey, you can do a Robert Allen, you can do real estate with no money down. Like, sign me up, because I have no money. Let's get down, And so I got really motivated by that. Went to some networking events and got a map. Okay, I'm like, hey, this is possible. This is 2007. It's a different market. You have to be maybe more creative in today's market, but you can still do the same thing. And I used that credit card that we had just paid off as a down payment to go buy my first rental property. So my wife and I were there, living in an apartment, used the credit card as a down payment to buy a rental property. And I did that 10 more times that year while working a full-time job, found properties, renovated them, leased them out myself, managed them, did that 10 times that year. And went on to do it again in 2020. 2008. My first year was 2007, 2008. But 2008, I couldn't get loans. I could get hard money loans, but I couldn't get refinance. So that was my first, hurdle into, my first big obstacle, because other guys I knew that were going to the clubs stopped coming to the real estate clubs, not the clubs, but the real estate clubs. They stopped coming to the real estate clubs because the market's crashing and they couldn't get financing. And I was like, I'm not very business savvy. I'm new to this, but that seems like you should be figuring out a way. So I put together a few partnerships that year and bought 10 more rentals and partnerships that year. 2008, and then 2009, that's when I discovered private money and, discovered some other things in real estate, and just kind of started to discover the world of being an entrepreneur and finding something within that I didn't even know I had. And since that time, we've done hundreds of deals, single family, flips, rentals, all that kind of stuff, mobile home parks, RV parks. What I want to point out on here, is since that time is one, you can start with nothing, but 2 is that what I'm most proud of is 100% track record of loan performance with my lenders. Okay. And, I've been doing lending myself for about 6-7 years now. And I had an investor come to me last year, knew this person pretty well, went to my church, and called me for a loan. And I was like, I'd love to work with you. And so I was looking at the deal, everything seemed okay. And her name came up randomly with another friend I was talking to. He's like, "Ooh, don't loan to that person." Why? And so, long story short, he told me a story that she had another deal that literally just got foreclosed on. Does anyone care to know why the deal she got foreclosed on by a private lender? This was a private lender. This is not a big time hard money lender. This is a regular person, who was not like, some big well-to-do lender, loaned her a couple $100,000. She stopped paying him and walked away from the deal because it wasn't working out the way she thought it was going to work out. It was very stressful. And those were her words to me. I found out, I was like, tell me, why did you walk away? It was causing me so much stress. Really? And you just walked away. We learned to eat stress. I mean, like, that's just part of the business. And it just blew my mind. And she was shocked when I wasn't going to loan to her. And she couldn't even do a deed, give a deed in lieu of foreclosure. She made the guy go through the foreclosure process. So I take this seriously for a reason. And that's kind of my story where 2007, I started nothing but a dream, but I had that vision. That's why mindset's so important, guys. I'm going to hit on that real quick. So when in that 2007 moment in that apartment, when I told my wife, I said, look, I'm going to buy 10 properties this year, rental properties. After I read Kiyosaki, I read my first Tony Robbins book, and Jerry knows what's up with that, right? Life changing. I read Tony, and I read Robert. I told my wife I'm going to buy 10 rental properties this year, and went and bought this poster board from Walgreens, hung it on the apartment wall, and said every time I buy a house, I'm going to fill it in, with a black magic mark or whatever, Sharpie, when I buy a property. This is me telling my wife, like, we just did the Dave Ramsey thing. We're broke. I've never done real estate. I've never done anything in business. Like, how she didn't bust out laughing, I don't know. But here's what I think she knew was at that point in time, when I had read these books and I did some work in here, and I got really super clear on what I wanted. Okay, like in the business world, that was the first time. I'm like, I know what I'm going to do, and there's nobody's going to stop me. That was just my mindset. And it's so important, guys. I'll talk a little bit about something I teach called the 7 fundamentals of real estate. But if you don't have that mindset and that clarity, if you're going to do something, if you don't have it, just don't do it. Right? So just don't do it. Like, I'm a big believer, if you're going to do something that's worth doing, like, you need pretty much need to be at the hell yes level. I'm going to do this. Anything less than that's just a no. Okay? This is why I do my y'all don't laugh at me. This is why I do my horrible Mr. Miyagi impersonation, but it's so true. Everybody seen Karate Kid? What are y'all pointing at me for? Oh. Go ahead. Nope. I went to all hard money lenders in the beginning. My first 20-something deals were all hard money lenders. And I'll get into that in a little bit. Yeah, sorry I didn't see your hand. But when it comes to having that clarity, okay, so important. As Mr. Miyagi says, you, Daniel-san, do yes. You, Daniel-san, do no. You, Daniel-san, do maybe so. Squish, like grape. Squish like grape. It's even worse when you don't laugh, just to be honest. Like, it's even worse, just to be honest. So, appreciate that, guys. Yeah, it's like really bad. Really bad. I warned you. And so that's the story. That's the story. And here's what I learned. Here's the lesson that I extracted. We're doing business. We're doing deals. You're always learning. Sometimes you don't like to learn the lesson that you're learning, but it's there. And sometimes bad things happen. We actually don't learn the lesson. What happens if you don't learn the lesson? You're going to repeat it. How many people missed out on 2008, 9, 10, 11? Hope you learned that lesson. Don't repeat it. So what I extracted from that time was the ability to raise capital. It's the number one skill set of an entrepreneur. Okay? So this skill set has become increasingly easier in today's market. Like, honestly, like raising money is like the easiest part of real estate today. And that's not just for me, that's for everybody. You know, when the government's printing trillions of dollars, like there's a lot of money out there. So I mean, honestly, does anyone have this mindset? Like, I can't invest in real estate, but don't have any money. I know some of you have it. You don't have to raise your hands. It's okay. But I hear it all the time. Like, it's the number one excuse that I hear investors have of not doing a deal. I hear it all the time. And you are going to have to struggle to get my sympathy. Like, it's just because I started with nothing, and that's actually been one of the greatest blessings I have is being broke and knowing nothing. Because it forced me to have to learn the hard way. So much so that, like, my coaching students that I work with, right? Whenever they come to me and we start working on their business, one of the first questions that filled out on their form, how much capital do you have? How much liquid capital do you have? Okay? And it's a trick question. It's a trick question. So if someone has, say, I've got $100,000 to invest. Okay, great. How many deals, what's your game plan? How many deals are you going to do? Well, I want to buy rentals. So I think I'm going to need about $25,000, $30,000 down for each rental. I think I can buy, 4 or 5, maybe 3, maybe 6. I don't know. So what is their mindset right now? What is the program they have in their mind? Their programming they have in their mind is I need to put $20,000 or $30,000 down to do a deal. How many deals can they do? 3, 4, 5, whatever. And so, okay, that's their programming. I started with programming and said, I have no money. I have to figure this out. So my programming became, I can do deals with no money down. So what did I have to learn how to do? Negotiate better. Negotiate with sellers better, with wholesalers better, negotiate with lenders better. I literally had to negotiate with my hard money lender to do no money down deals for me. After the first deal, I used my credit card on the first one, got one of those credit card checks. After that, so I got $7,000 off a credit card, gave him a cashier's check for him to keep. There was like $5,000 to keep in case I ever didn't perform on a deal. I negotiated that. So it caused me to negotiate better deals, better terms, get rehabs done faster. Right? The single greatest blessing in my real estate investment was being broke. So when people say, like, man, I'm freaking broke, I want to do some, I'm like, that's awesome, man. And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, it's a blessing. Use it to your advantage. Okay? So take this excuse, don't have to try to figure out how. Ask yourself the most powerful question you can ask, just how can you do it? Because raising money today is it is the easiest part of the real estate business. Now there's some components you have to add to that, things you have to add to that, and we'll get into that. So 2009, quit my job, went full time, and I started raising private money. I did those partnerships I told you about in 2008 because that's just kind of where I was at. I didn't know about private money, so I was splitting profits with my partners 50-50, which I was more than happy to do. Then in 2008, I'm like, 50% is a lot. I'd kind of like to keep the whole thing if I can. And I learned about private lending from a friend of mine. I met at a networking event. We're still friends to this day. I remember it was yesterday. We met at Einstein Bagels restaurant over in West U, and he slapped this real estate investor magazine down on the table. I didn't even know real estate investor magazines existed. He slapped this magazine down. It's like this 25-year-old kid on the cover. He's like, man, look what this guy's doing, raising all this money. And we're like, oh my gosh, this kid was raising tons of money. And I was like, we need to do that. And quick side note, not part of the presentation, he's in jail now. He is. I was watching American Greed. Not even lying. Text my buddy. I'm like, what's his face? He's in jail. American Greed, doing this stuff the wrong way. Yeah. He was raising money like the churches, and like it was crazy. It was like his name is Ephraim. I forget his name. It's crazy. So his dad was a pastor, and so he's going into these churches like, I'm the good guy, and so he's misleading them, and raising money, misleading them, just doing all this kind of stuff. But then the idiocy, is that a word? just how stupid people can be. Not only did he do that, and he's raising all this money and misappropriating funds, using it for whatever, vacations and cars and all that stuff, not even going to the real estate. Then his wife, who wants to be a rap artist, he funds her rap artist. He's on the video, like throwing dollar bills and stuff. How stupid can you get? Yes, sir. Oh, yeah, it's greed. And look, we all have it to a certain extent. We all got a greed gland. You got to put that in check. We do, and it's out there. So in 2009, that's when I first started raising some private money, a little bit, not much. I was still using a lot of hard money lenders. I used a ton of hard money lenders, 2007, 8, 9, even 10. Maybe even 1 or 2 and 11, not since. So over 10 years. Amazes me, I know guys who've been in the business long as me still use hard money lenders. Like hard money lenders serve a purpose, but they're like training wheels. At one point you got to take those off. 2009, I'm raising a little bit of money, not a lot, a little bit. We get to the end of 2009. This is one of my very first partner my second partner in 2008. 2008, if you guys were around and aware of what was going on then, she had some money in the stock market. She pulled a lot of that money out to invest with me and buy some rental properties. In 2009 comes around, going in 2010, we get on a phone call, and that's actually what my phone looked like, pretty much. For you young kids, that was the old cell phone. And we were just having a conversation about stuff. I don't remember what the conversation was about. And it was a oh by the way thing at the end. And she was like, oh by out to invest with you, it would have wrecked me. Like I probably wouldn't even be retiring now. So I just want to say thank you because it's been such a blessing. And I got goosebumps, right? And so I just really started thinking about it because back in this time, we're seeing doom and gloom all over the TV. We're seeing the stock market falling. We're seeing family members and friends being impacted by this. And so I started there thinking, I'm like, how many people are like her, right? And then I was like, how many people don't even know about this that would absolutely love to be a private lender? And then and then my greed gland, how much real estate can I buy? It's infinite. Like it's really, and this for any of us, like there's really no limit to how many deals we could do, how much money we can raise, right? If we do some things the right way, it's limitless. Look at Grant. Look at a Grant Cardone. How much money is this guy raising, right? So it's limitless, and that changed my mindset forever. I'm like, no, because going into calls with lenders, I felt like I was kind of a beggar and a borrower. Like, please, 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 and then that kind of boosted my confidence. Like, no, I don't have to have like this mindset of like, please, like a beggar. Like, no, I want to help you. I can help you, and I'm very confident I can do it. Here's how I can do it. Right? So my confidence changed. So I was like, no, I can help these people, right? So it was kind of like, as real estate investors, kind of like, that's our superpower, right? Like we have really ability to help people. And guess what? Everything's cyclical. Everything repeats itself. What is in the world today? Doom and gloom, doubt, fear, uncertainty, all this kind of stuff. It's back. It's go time. That's why I'm here right now. So we're going to break down the title, Raising Money in a Recession. So we're going to break down each of these words real quick. So let's talk about raising. Okay, the definition, to be able to be lifted or pulled up. Well, first off, raising anything or lifting or pulling anything for a long period of time is exhausting. Okay? We don't want to do things that are exhausting. Maybe for a short period of time, do a short workout. Not long term. It's not good for you. I came up with this word. Maybe I don't know if I came up, it may be out there, but when I was putting this presentation, this is capital collaboration. We're collaborating with lenders and their capital, put that stuff to work. And it's created by leading with value. We're going to talk about that a lot tonight, which is helping others. So raising, like what we're looking to do is something that can be successful and sustainable, help successful and sustainable real estate entrepreneurs learn how to build a business that creates a capital pipeline. That you should not have any shortage of capital for your deals, guys. By value-based marketing. It's not selling. It's not trying to trick somebody or fool somebody or sell somebody. Ugh. I hate selling. We're not going to do that. We're going to leave with value and create some evergreen funding for you guys for 100% of your deals and for your lenders with acceptable rates and terms. Win-win scenarios. 2023 is what it's about. Wisely leveraging investment real estate to lenders and providing with a secure, passive, and predictable return. Absolutely unlike the stock market and other investment options. Everybody with me? Okay, and lastly, talk about this as well. The better you become the better you become at telling the story of private mortgage lending, the more capital you're going to be able to raise. How does that make you feel when we're talking about, hey, you need to tell a story. I'm not telling you need to go sell somebody or close somebody. I love Grant Cardone. He's a hardcore closer, all this kind of stuff. Like, no, I just want you to tell some stories. Just going to give some people some information, let them make a decision. That's what it's really about. All right, money. So, money is what? Exchange of value. Any article or substance used as a medium of exchange. Okay, so when it comes to lending, so what are we talking about? Pretty much cash and IRAs, self-directed IRAs. We're not accepting any Bitcoin. Okay, Tom? I'm not taking crypto. Actually, I probably would. Let me think about it. But it's cash or it's IRA. Most times we actually prefer IRA capital. We're about a 60-40 right now. About 60% of our capital is IRA and about 40% is cash. Go ahead. A lot of reasons, and so I'll talk about it later, but we'll cover it now. So here it is. So with cash could be needed for something else soon, right? So if someone said they've got $100,000 of capital, that may be all they have. I don't know, for investment capital, something comes up, man, I need to get that cash back. I've only had that happen a handful of times. IRA money, it's not milk and egg money. They're not paying bills. They need it to be put to work. So it's usually like when it's there, it's going to be good and they're going to want to get it back to work right away. Someone's got cash, like they've got more options. They may be like, oh, when I get that back, I'm going to do this thing or that thing or whatever. So IRA is just good long-term money. Like usually we have an IRA lender, it's not going to go anywhere. And also the thing with IRA money is, you guys in Houston, we're very fortunate. We've got Quest IRA here, right? So if you're not familiar with Quest IRA, and I know people watch this in other markets, there's self-directed IRA companies across the country. Well, Quest IRA alone, right now, what they do is they help people who have an IRA funds. They could have rolled over something from a retirement account. They could have contributed money to a Roth IRA, what have you. They've got money in an IRA. That means they can't grab it and pull it out like they can with the tax penalty, but they need to put that money to work. The problem is a lot of people put it there, they roll it over there, and it just sits. It just sits and there's nothing. So right now, Quest IRA, and this blows my mind. I text Derek today to get an update on the numbers. Quest IRA has a lot of capital at work from their clients. It's close to $3 billion now, which blows my mind. It wasn't even a billion when I first got started. It was like not even near that. That's a lot of money, right? Does anyone care to know how much unused IRA money is at Quest alone, not being invested? Who knows? Somebody here knows it. How much? 5,000, 10,000? 500 million. It's just like sitting there, not being used. And they've taken time, energy, and effort, fill out paperwork. It's not super easy process. Get all that, move there to invest, and it's just sitting. A lot of them don't know. So yeah, we like IRA money, and cash is the same, but there's just a few little benefits over it. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah, so let's define the difference of hard money and private money. I'm glad you brought that up. So when I'm talking about private lenders, okay, when I'm talking about private lenders, I'm talking about regular folks who are, They may be new at private lending. They may be doing it for a while. They're looking for, above market rates of return, acceptable rates and terms. They're not a loan shark. They're not like a hard money lender is basically what's the maximum rate and points that they can get on their money, right? So what are hard money lenders charging today? At least 12, 13, 14%. How many points? 3, 4 points? Is that what they're doing? I don't know. You guys tell me. Yeah, so it's very high interest, right? So private lenders are wherever private lenders are at, and I can't tell you a number where they're at. On a blended rate for us right now is around 8 to about closer to 9 now, but years past we're like borrowing at 7 or 8%. So it just depends. When you have those, when we have our, and those are, when I'm using the word private lender, guys, I'm talking about your regular Joe person. I'm not talking about your loan sharks. Talking about your regular Joe people. And what we're really trying to do, when we are working with them, what I do when I raise money is like work with lenders and try to find what they'd be happy with, right? Like what are their goals? What are their fears? What are their concerns? And what's going to make them happy with this investment? So I always tell the story with my partner, like going way back when we first started raising money together. The guy showed me the Real Estate Investor magazine. We started raising money together, and we met with a woman, and we explained, she wanted to meet with us. She had some money sitting, and we went through the presentation. And at that point in time, we were paying 13, 14%, 3 or 4 points all day long for our deals. We were happy. We were making money. Like it's 2009, real estate was on sale. We were cash flowing, buying rentals at 12% interest. So we go into this meeting, go through a presentation. She's like, I like you guys. I think I can trust y'all. And she's like, so, we haven't talked about like money. Like, what am I going to make on this? And my friend was navigating the conversation. So I just sat back and learned and listened. And he was just a brilliant wordsmith. It was NLP kind of stuff and all that. He said, well, it depends, to her question. So she's like, what return am I going to make? He said, well, it depends. And she's like, what does it depend on? He's like, well, it depends on what rate of return you'd be happy with. And if you're happy with a number and we're happy with that number, it makes our deal work, then we'll move forward. And if, you're not happy with a number and we can't make it work, then we won't be happy. So it just depends. What number would you be happy with? She's like, I'm making like 1% with my CD. I'd probably be happy with 5%. And I'm like, jaw's dropping. And, my friend, I thought he was going to come tonight, but I guess he didn't make it. His response is genius. He had a million genius responses. I'm like always taking notes, ringing up. So his response to her was, it's not the number we had in mind, but I think we can work with that. I've used that so many times since. Negotiating deals, you're thinking you're willing to offer 100. What number would you be happy with? Oh, I'd probably take 75. It's not the number we had in mind, but I think we can work with that. Yes, I would write that down. Right there alone. It's worth your price of admission tonight. So we all know there's all kinds of money. It's kind of funny how things may be going back to the bartering world when the banking world collapses like it's doing. We all know prices are skyrocketing. 8% inflation? No, it's a lot more than that. It's probably double whatever they're reporting, right? It's like 15%. Inflation is through the roof. It's crazy. You know it, you sense it, you feel it, you see it. It's ludicrous. So we can't go much further without talking about bad debt versus good debt. There's definitely a difference. This is not raise money, just go buy real estate. No, it's you raise money to buy deals that make sense. You have to make sure that what you're doing makes sense. I kind of jumped ahead. This is the first time I created this slide. So this was me. This was me in 2006. This was me in 2006. Man, I hated wearing ties too. That's the main reason we quit my job. I don't wear ties anymore. So I read Dave, and Dave's like, no debt, this and this and that, pay off your credit cards, do this thing for 30, 40 years. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I hate my life. I'm like, I'm grateful to to God to have life and stuff the way I hated my job. And I was broke, and I didn't feel like I could go on doing what I was going to do for much longer. Honestly, like I was not a happy person. And I'm looking at my dad, who I love and honor, but I saw him grind it out in a job for 40-something years. He was not happy with. He was coming home he was a grumpy man, and because he did not like his job. And I'm like, I love my dad. I don't want to stick at this company for all this time. But I'm like, I got to listen to Dave. Went to Financial Peace University. Okay, is it 65 years old yet? Because I'm like 30. Oh, God. Oh, it was depressing. And I see this guy. He's like the little devil. This little devil pops up here, and he's telling me to get debt. He's telling me I need to go use debt and buy real estate. I'm like, no. Get away, devil. Get away, devil. I got to listen to Dave here. That is bad. And I'm like, well, maybe this guy's right. And maybe that guy's bad. and that became my reality. And that became my truth. And the only truth that matters is your truth, right? And the truth of the matter is this. The truth of the matter is this, is that Dave Ramsey has a great message for some people. And some people just need to stick to Dave's message. But Dave's message was not for me. Robert's message was for me. I'm glad I listened to Robert's message. And Robert's message is all about how to utilize and leverage debt. I wish I would have listened to even more to Robert than I did. I wish I played even more because I was fearful. I was nervous. I want to keep my 100% track record. But it's all come to life. Like debtors are winners in today's economy. Okay, those who leverage wisely good debt. Okay, we're going to talk about what is good debt. Talk about bad debt. When it's used wisely, it will create good things, wealth, cash flow, and financial freedom. Okay, everybody with me? All right. So, you have to leverage wisely. What do I mean by that? Equity. You have to have equity in real estate. What we do is we buy deals at a discount. We do not pay full market price for real estate. You know, my Airbnb folks, I hope I don't want to ruffle any feathers, but if you're buying a deal just because it makes sense as an Airbnb, but it has no equity, or you can't just rent it in a standard market and cash flow, you're most likely, I can't predict the future, you may be regretting that very, 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 short time coming soon. Okay? So that is a model and that's a strategy and that's good, but you've got to have some you got to have some equity, right, in your deals. So as a lender, right, and as a borrower, equity is essentially oxygen. And we need oxygen to live and to survive. Because you do enough deals, maybe not even that many, deals go bad and deals go sideways. Okay? Not all my deals are sunshine and rainbows. I've lost a lot of money on deals. It's been painful, but I've had equity. I've had oxygen, right? So even though I may have lost some money, I had a lot of equity, so this was very minimal. And to be honest, like, out of all the deals I've lost money on, nothing's been like devastating or that horrible. Thank God. But you have to have it. You have to have that equity. It's a non-starter. Two, is that deal going to cash flow? Because if you have only one exit strategy for a deal, you really need to analyze, hey, is this a sustainable business model I'm running? Because somebody I know, I'm not going to point any fingers, got the big head for a while thinking he could flip all these real high-end houses just because he was doing it in other markets. And I got my you-know-what handed to me for a while. I've always performed my lenders. I took some losses and I took some licks, and my lenders never knew about it unless they asked because they always got paid. How'd that deal work out? So glad it funded. I lost $40,000. Thanks for asking. Why didn't you tell me? I'm like, did you really want to hear about that? Like, I don't even want to talk about it anymore. I'm on to the next deal. It's just, I learned some things. No, the equity, so when I say the equity in the deal, right, is like, what's the all-in investment amount? Like purchase price, repairs, your loan amount, right, versus what's the property going to be worth? That's what I'm talking about. So, minimum, like say 25%. Some people push it. Hey, 20%, you're getting to 15%. That's like no equity. It's a non-starter. So 25 plus is my rule. You want to be all in at 75. Yeah, you want to be all in at 75,000 if the property is worth 100,000. Simple math. And what I've also learned, guys, I learned this the hard way, not from a book. Probably did learn it from a book, but it just didn't click, right? Oh, I wish I was smarter. Multiple exit strategies. Okay, so I get people asking me all the time, why don't you do this, or why aren't you building or doing this and that? I like to do deals where I have options. Okay, I like to do deals where I have options. What does that mean? I could flip it, I could rent it, I could owner finance it, I could Airbnb it, I could, assisted living. I like deals where I have options. Owner financing, I love that option. I sleep good at night when I'm doing deals where I know I have options. Do I, on occasion, take some shots at other deals do I still do some little higher end stuff every now and then? Yes, I do. But I'm very strategic with it, and portfolio is it's a very, very low percentage of portfolios, if that makes sense, right? And I have a better, more cash reserves and better ways to navigate things if a deal goes sideways on a big deal or two. It's not a big deal now. Before, I put myself in a bad position. I'm not going to do that anymore, if y'all are with me. And everything really, I'm in this for the long game. This has been like 16 years for me now, right? I got a long ways to go. So you want to take that long-term approach, right? So you want to essentially, if I want to share something, if I was to share something with you, like most important thing tonight or anytime, like really, if you can build a business, right, that is essentially low risk and high reward, like you're going to do really, really good, right? Every deal you look at, say, is this low risk? And is it high reward? Because if it's high risk and low reward, that's like you don't do it. And people come to me all the time. Someone came to me today. So I'm looking at a deal. Tell me about it. It's $350. Okay. Tell me more. Well, it's gutted. It was a new construction, but they've done nothing but framing, exterior. It's like complete. It's empty. Okay, tell me more. What is the rehab going to be? I think it's going to be about $300,000. Okay. Okay. What's it worth? It could be worth $5 million. What's it worth? I think I can sell it for $750. Like, okay. I'm like, is your goal to lose $150,000 on this deal? Because if so, you're doing good. So we got to think about that, right? So I like deals that check these boxes. Bad debt, still bad debt. Doesn't check those boxes. If you're high leverage and no equity, no cash flow, no options, it's bad. It's not going to end bad. And bad investments are still bad investments. I don't care if you can cash flow with Airbnb, but it has no equity, bad. And after all, you find out who's swimming naked when the tide goes out. And the tide's going out. It's already going out. Already going out. I've had other investors call and asking me for a job. It's going out. So what is a recession? Okay, the act of receding or withdrawing, going down, I can't see what it says. But basically a significant decline. I hear all this stuff like, well, it's 2 quarters. It's really technically it's not. It's really, if things are going down consistently, even just for a few months, it doesn't even have to be that long when you read it. It's just a widespread, I jumped around, a decline in economic activity and a widespread drop in spending. So we're going to get to are we in a recession? What happens in a recession? Economic output, employment, and consumer spending drop in a recession. This has not happened yet. A lot of people are still living off credit cards. There's been a lot of money printing. This has not happened yet, okay? And then also says that the interest rates, the Fed, they're going to cut interest rates to support the economy. This has definitely not happened yet. They're probably still going to raise them. And if you look at the previous recessions, you look in a cockpit of a plane, they've got raise interest rates, lower interest rates. So the previous major recessions, what did they do? They lowered the interest rates by 5%. So I don't know. I listen to smart people. Don't come to me to get, latest and greatest on this stuff. But I did hear, like the one lever they pull is the interest rate lever. So most likely, is what smart people are predicting is like, buckle your seatbelt. Next year to 2 years, interest rates are probably going to stay up if inflation's not even starting to slow down yet. But at some point in time, they're going to pull that lever and jack it down 3, 4, 5%. That's what they've done previously, right? So they're jacking it up just so we can jack it down. And so my strategy right now is like, let's get ready to go on a buying frenzy. Y'all have seen we're putting out commercials and doing all this. We're increasing our advertising now when other people are cutting back because there's opportunity. Yes, sir.
The difference this time, before they would raise at 4%, this is the fastest time in history.
Yeah.
So it's not, I think it's going to be up longer for a long period of time. But there's evidence the government step in and tax something.
They will. And that's why people are like, hey, what do you think the economy's going to do? I get that question all the time. I'm like, oh, yeah. Yeah.
So they're late to the party. They're always late.
They're always late. And to me, to be quite honest, so when I get the question like, what do you think the economy is going to do? I'm like, I don't know. It's going to go up, down, or sideways. That's what it's going to do, right? It's going to do one of those three. But to me, like, it doesn't matter in terms of if you have a business, right? If you have a business that you can thrive in any market, you can flip, you can rent, you can owner finance, you can do this. I don't really care. Like, honestly, I don't. If you have a business that's built that way. So be thinking about that. Are we in a recession? This guy pretty much says, like, the economy's just weird. Just saying what we talked about. People are still spending, and, they're not lowering interest rates. They're increasing them. So who knows? This is kind of scary stuff. I'm sharing this because this is what our lenders see, and that's what we're getting to start working with the lenders. They're seeing this, that banks are collapsing now. There's who knows what's going on behind closed doors there with some of these banks. But, our money's not insured. Basically, like, there's no Social Security. Yeah, our money's probably not insured either. How do you think that makes people feel? They can only cover 125 billion of the 18 trillion of exposed deposits. Politicians are criminals, basically. So how does that make people feel? Does it make them feel good? And now the Fed's even saying they'll only selectively rescue systematically important banks. So here we go. Bank crises are followed by restrictive lending, okay? Restrictive lending and credit, which drives a recession. And the Fed looks forced to acquiesce on a return to quantitative easing, which will compound inflation. All this stuff is like, it's actually really good for us. We're going to get to that. So this is when the proverbial emoji shit hits the fan. And that's what it's doing right now. And this is good. If you're sensing fear, I recommend breathing, deep breathing exercises, and focusing on how you can take advantage of it. So it's really opportunity. Look at how many great companies started during a recession or a down economy. There's a lot of opportunity. You can get things cheaper. You can find cheaper labor, cheaper help, stuff like that. I know it's a recession, but I'm sorry, it's an inflationary time, but it's a good time to start a company. Also with housing, me saying like, hey, I don't care what it's going to do is because of data, right? Historical data. I know that eventually real estate's going to do this. And what usually, like if you zoom in, real estate usually does this. Goes up, plateau, new low, goes up. New low, maybe we'll have a dip, and it goes up. And then in Texas too, what's his name? Mark Dozier. How do you say those things? Dozier, Texas A&M real estate guy. Dozier. How do you say it? I like he does his predictions. You know, he did this prediction 2000. He does them every year. He's like, he's the guy to listen to this stuff, not me. And you know, he said, he's like, you know, it appears as if the country's going to go into a recession, and this may affect real estate, but Texas may just choose not to participate once again. You know, because it doesn't look like the way our population's growing, our housing shortage, like it's really good for us right now. So this is the doom and gloom, blah, blah. This is what people see. And to be quite honestly, this is more powerful than reality. Okay? This is more powerful than reality. Because what I say, whose truth matters the most? My truth matters the most to me. Your truth matters the most to you. People are sitting at home watching the news every night. They're seeing this. We're already increasing our buys. Right? We're on track for our best year ever buying houses. And as people are already sensing fear, may not even be experiencing real life issues just yet, but they're experiencing the fear, so they're reacting to it. Okay, this is not a time to give into that. By the way, this is one of my favorite graphs. That's when I quit my job. 2009, I found this like years later. I found a consumer confidence index. That was when I decided to quit my job. That's when my father told me I was a moron. What are you doing? You're quitting your job. That's a good company. You could climb the ladder. And I'm like, sorry, Dad. Pretty glad I went with my gut on that one. I'll tell you that much. All right, so these are really exciting times. Really exciting times. So let's get into focusing now, all right? So we've kind of set that tone. So we're going to get in focusing now. I promise you're going to be out here by midnight. How can I raise money in a recession? That's what everyone wants to know, right? Well, you know, the answer is same way you raise them when it's not in recession. All right, we can all go home now. You know, it would have been best to start 5, 10, 15 years ago. Raising money if you haven't started. Best time is when? Right now. And the principles that I've used, that I've learned many, many years ago and applied and have tried to improve upon, they simply work. So we're going to talk about it. It all starts with your mindset, believing that you can do this. So some of you, I know, I'll keep reinforcing that because our mindset is the most important thing we have to overcome. That's why I talk about it all the time. How many of you guys listen or follow David Goggins? Right? So, yeah, I love David. And so something he said the other day was like really stood out to me. He's like, your mind has a tactical advantage over you. Your mind has a tactical advantage over you in your future. Because your mind, it's fear, it's driven by fear. That's its number one thing to do, is protect you from pain, right? Discomfort, all that kind of stuff. That's your mind's trying to do. It's good, it's okay, but we gotta know how to use it to our advantage. Turn that volume down. There's good thing and there's difference to useful fear and non-useful fear. Most stuff it gives is not useful, right? And so we have to understand that because our mind has a tactical advantage over us. So some of you guys may get all fired up tonight. You're going to walk out that door and be like, oh, I don't know if I can do it now. I experience this all myself. We all go through this stuff. Like, it's what we do. So part of your mindset needs to be understanding the rules before you play the game, right? Like, it'd be wise to understand the rules and to understand the game before you play, right? So what are some of the rules? Well, one is like, what is your business, right? So you're going into the arena of raising money, okay? So what is your business? I apologize if things in the way. I don't know how to get it in there. Oops. Oh well. So what is your investment strategy is what that says. What is your investment strategy? And these are the 7 fundamentals I was talking about. It starts here. This is the first fundamental. It all starts with your mindset. Marketing, learning how to generate deal flow, learning how to evaluate deals, learning how to estimate repairs, learning how to obtain the financing, raise capital, learning how to rehab, manage contractors. This is the toughest part of real estate, by the way. And then learning how to generate income, the most effectively. What's the best strategy for you? Those are the fundamentals of real estate, right? That's my investment strategy. You know, if a lender asks me, what's your investment strategy? They don't ask that. But you do need to know, what is your investment strategy? Because when you start getting into these conversations, one of the first rules of the game is know what your business plan is, know what your business model is, and be able to explain that and have a conversation with the lender about that. What are your borrowing guidelines? We talked about equity, right? What's a good LTV? You know, what LTV will you be looking to raise at? What equity are your lenders going to have in your deals? You know, do you have any non-negotiables? Do you offer a personal guarantee? Do you not offer a personal guarantee? Why? Why not? What differentiates you from the others? Why should they invest with you? Because we're essentially all competing with each other, right? And however many other investors are out there. So you need to start understanding the rules of the game, and part of the rules of the game is just knowing the ins and outs of your business, knowing the ins and outs of deals, and what that looks like when you get into those conversations. Yeah, that's marketing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's kind of in the context, the graphics for real estate deals, but we're going to get into how to generate deal flow for lenders. Because these same fundamentals apply. You tweak them a little bit. So we've got a lot of companies now that I'm running about 6 different companies. And so we use these 7 fundamentals essentially with every single company. And that's how I can manage now multiple companies. I have different teams for every company, but we start kind of with the same process. And this really essentially works with lending as well, that we'll talk about. So it looked like when I did my first deal. So we talked about, I used I used hard money in the beginning. One, it's all I knew of. I didn't know about private money. And that was also a very big blessing to me to use hard money, because I learned a lot with hard money. And I had training wheels on my bike, and that's okay. That's how you have to learn how to ride a bike. I have 5 kids, not 6. I have 5 kids, and not one of my children have just hopped on a bike and started riding it without training wheels. This is a thing. This is the way it must be. So when I did my first deal, I had training wheels on my bike, and every single deal was hard money. Now, I tried to take those training wheels off a little too soon, and what happened? Fell down. I was doing deal number 5 or deal number 6, and I was working with David from Red Door Funding. And so, you know, David was becoming my BFF. I'm calling him all the time. We're doing deals and this and that. And I got a deal under contract with my wholesale buddy I was buying all these deals from. Sent David over to take a look at it. And David calls me and tells me, no. Says, I'm not going to loan you on this one, bud. I'm like, huh. And so I got a little pissed off. So I go home and I'm telling my wife, I'm like, David told me he's not going to loan to me on this deal. And she's like, what are you going to do about it? And I'm like, I'm going to call somebody else. What does he know? You know, I've like done 5 deals now. I'm going to get this thing closed. This deal happened to be the roughest deal I had done. And I didn't really know how to inspect to see if wiring had been stripped out of houses. And this foundation was like, it was shot, but I'd done other foundation. Well, all foundations are the same, right? And so long story short, I was getting a big ego. Is a big ego usually very useful? Not usually. A little bit of ego, not a lot. And so I remember laying in bed that night. I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, why is he telling me no? And I started thinking, I was like, David's in the business of loaning money to guys like me. It's all he does. He's loaned to me a bunch. He's telling me no on this one. There's probably a reason why. Maybe I should at least ask him why. I didn't even ask him why. I just got like pissed off, like, oh, all right, I'm going to call somebody else. Stupid. Just like stupid. So kind of tucked my tail between my legs. Next day I'm like, hey, Dave, was just curious, why don't you want a loan on that deal? Just curious. This, that, the other thing. God, I wouldn't loan for half the price. Jeez. I think I'm gonna listen to David. I didn't tell him that. I don't want his ego to get too big. I'm like, all right, I'll talk to you later. Probably still gonna do it. So, whatever I said, But I learned a lot. And so the reason I'm sharing this story is I see a lot of new investors come into the market and want to go straight to private money. And I highly try to persuade people from doing that. Okay? There may be some exceptions. Maybe you're joint venturing with another investor. Maybe you've got some good coaching or mentoring, right? Maybe you've got somebody there. If that's the case, that's okay. But if you're going this on your own, your first deal, and you really don't know what you're doing, I would dissuade you from doing that. Okay? But there's a higher cost with using a hard money lender, but there's some value in what they do for you that is going to have a tremendous impact on the rest of your business. Okay? So when I was using David, what I was also getting in that relationship, yeah, he's charging me points and fees, but he was sharing things with me. He introduced me to some contracts. He told me why I say no to deals, what kind of deals he liked the best, this and this and that. So I'm out there cutting my teeth, getting experience. So then and even with my partners, I was still using a hard money lender. I was using their credit and some of their cash to get the deals done. That's what I was doing. I had about 25 deals. I'm like, I think I'm ready to take these training wheels off, and I was, if that makes sense. So what I'm trying to tell you guys is you don't need to come out of the gates like on a sprint. It's okay to crawl before you walk and walk before you run. So who believes in the law of attraction? Something to that? Absolutely there is. So fear attracts more fear, hate attracts more hate, positivity attracts more positivity, etc., etc. So who wants to learn the private money law of attraction? This is absolutely a thing. And it's very simple. Money's attracted to good deals and good people. Money's attracted to good deals and good people. If you are not good people, money will not be attracted to you. Maybe for a deal or two, but not very long, and you're going to get found out. Attracted to bad deals, maybe once or twice. You can maybe trick somebody, not very long. These are the two components that you have to have, or you're not going to be able to raise money consistently or sustainably. You have to get, and I told you guys earlier, what's the easiest thing to do in today's market is raise money, and it really is. What's the most difficult to do in today's market? It's really hard to find good deals, right? Because there's less, real estate. There's just not as much inventory available, and there's a lot more investors. So many people are coming to Texas. So many investors are coming to Texas. So if you can find really, really good deals, like you can get the money. You can always get the money. I've never not done a deal because of money. This is something one of my lenders said to me many years ago. It stuck with me. Not verbatim, but pretty much. And she said, you know what? She had a real estate background. I owned a title company, all that kind of stuff. She's like, you know what, Brant? She's like, we both know, real estate is the security when we're lending, right? It's that note, that deed of trust. She's honestly, we look at you, the borrower, as much as a property. She's like, you're our real security on this. Because real estate, it could go bad. We know you're going to take care of it. So it meant a lot to me, and it's true. As the lenders are looking at you. There's a real estate, and then there's your real estate. So that's also, I have to put the picture of magnifying glass, is, everything we're doing these days, people are watching. Social media, all this kind of stuff. I tell my kids this. If it's posted, I don't care if you delete it, it's out there somewhere. Okay, it's out there somewhere. So people are watching you. I'm always amazed when we hire someone new and we pull up their social media stuff with some people. It amazes me. One time I was had this application, resume, click on her Facebook or Instagram, I forget what it is. My wife walks in right at that minute and she's like, what are you looking at? I'm like, I'm working. I have no idea why she would post this publicly applying for a job. My God. Now go away. I got to do some more research. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Definitely not hiring this one. Yeah. So when you begin to raise capital, begin with the end in mind. Stephen Covey. That's another book I read way back in the day. So start thinking about your business that way. So I have something on my calendar. Each and every week. It's called thinking time. You know what I do during thinking time? I just think. It's what was the book? What was the book that most all of us have all read? What and Grow Rich. Think. People don't take time to stop and think. Addicted to their phones and messages and this and that. It's called the monkey mind. Like, just can't stop. I tell my kids, I'm like, you got a monkey mind. Like, they can't stop and focus for, I shouldn't pick on them too much. At times they can, but a lot of times they can't because they're conditioning their brains that way. Okay? So think and go rich. So thinking time's on my calendar. It's like I have a pen, I have a pad, and I have a chair. I sit and I think and ask myself questions and I write and I journal and I think. Okay? So think about it. When you're building a business, guys, like think about it. What do you think about? Clearly, define your ideal lender. You got to know what you want, right? That clarity. I'll go through this kind of a little quick, but with experience level, I want to work with people I enjoy working with. So I'll work with people with little or no experience. Now, they can't be too much of a time suck. I'm willing to help them, and that's why I wrote my book to kind of honestly, here's everything you can do to safeguard yourself. So I'll work with little or no experience. That doesn't matter. I'll work with any financial status, accredited or non-accredited. Familiar with real estate? They don't have to be familiar. Once again, that's why I wrote the book and do a lot of training to help them. I don't care if it's cash or IRA. Risk tolerance, low or high. We're going to talk about that in a second. I do prefer people with medium to high risk tolerance. And the only reason is I've had some people invest that are super low risk tolerance. And I can say after doing close to 400, getting probably 500 deals the next year or so, is 100% performance. So that's would be considered very low risk. But I've had people who have very low risk tolerance who are calling me and worried and this and this and that, checking. I'm like, this may not be good for you. So I don't care to work with people who are super low risk. Other than that, what you see at the top is, we like working with people and helping people that we enjoy working with. That's most important. We can deal with whatever else, if we're kind of like-minded, because my lenders are friends, like they're extended family. People are like, what questions do your lenders ask them? These days, how are your kids doing? What'd y'all do on vacation? This and this and that. Trying to hit me up to stay at my beach house. Wink, wink. Stuff like that. Accredited investor. You saw that on there. Okay, I said it's most ideal, not 100% necessary. To qualify, just let you guys read that. Qualified as an accredited investor, person currently must have at least $200,000 in personal income or $300,000 for combined incomes over the past 2 years, with the expectation of the same or higher income in the current year, or people with a net worth of $100 million more. Million more. Why is this so important? Well, we're not going to I can't get too in depth with the SEC stuff, but there is some permissions and freedoms you have to talk to people who are accredited. You know that they're accredited. You can get into investing conversations. If they're not accredited and you don't have an existing relationship with them, then you need to stand back before you're getting into a conversation. If you just meet somebody on the street, hey, you're handing out flyers like invest with me, you're going to end up like, the guy shared at the beginning that was in jail. So where are private lenders? Pre-existing relationships, friends, family, coworkers, local. That's how I started out. I do not recommend public advertising. You can find investors through all these ways: mailing lists, solicitations, cold calling, paid advertising. No, there's a way you can do it safely. I'll talk about a little bit, but I wouldn't go there. And then, you can find them where else. Networking, RIAs. There's lenders in this event tonight. Live events, masterminds, self-directed IRAs. I've talked about that. Online groups and forums. Social media, obviously. But more important, let's focus on your deal flow now with your lenders. And when it comes to marketing, so we're going to turn our focus now on marketing. So when you think of marketing, there's always different marketing strategies that we can do for deals, for anything in business. Once you think of marketing strategies like lead valves, which valve is best to turn on, right? And then you turn one on, you get it pumping, let's go open another one and another one. So we're going to talk about some lead valves. Which lead valve works best? Which marketing strategy works best? To get this question all the time with real estate. The ones that work best are the ones that you consistently invest in and work on over and over and over again. Marketing doesn't work if you just do it once or twice. It doesn't work that way. I'd love to tell some more marketing stories right now. I just can't. So let's look at this. Lead with value, educate, seek to help, and be an advocate for others, like helping others, acting on their behalf to help them. So pre-existing relationships, they're great. Maybe, or maybe not great. You gotta ask yourself that question. But it's certainly not scalable. It's not scalable. Networking, like going out and do hustle marketing is what I call it. And that's how I used to go to so many networking events and mix, mingle, shake hands, all that kind of stuff. It was great, but then you get tired, right? It's raising, lifting is exhausting. So all that's fine. It's good. You should definitely do it, but you want to work towards building a business that's sustainable. And I found that through educating, right, and speaking, not necessarily being out in front of a group, but finding ways that you can speak through writing, through books, blogs, videos, webinars, training, case studies. There's so many ways to help others through educating and speaking. Okay, and we'll get a little bit more into this. So private lenders, and it doesn't even matter if you know where private lenders are. So I just showed you where they're at. It doesn't matter if you know where they are if they don't know where you're at. Okay? And so I would rather lenders this is big. I've been working all this time getting up to this now. I would rather lenders be asking the question, where are the investors at? That's much better. Now they're looking for you. Okay. We've all heard of McDonald's, Coca-Cola, Geico, all these companies. What do they always do? They're always marketing. ABM, always marketing. There's a reason they do that. They're always marketing. So let's learn from them. So value-based marketing, okay? That means that translates into money or lenders are attracted to you. And that's what we're really trying to do here is to create attraction where people are attracted to you. What are they attracted to? They're attracted to good deals and good people. So operate accordingly, right? If you can see this, types of value marketing. What value are you giving? Economic value with our deals, absolutely. Social value, yeah, we're going to get into how they feel good about what they're doing. Psychologically, socially sharing this, and internally, intrinsically. And then functional, like real estate is very functional. They understand it's not crypto, right? This is value marketing. We can reverse engineer this rather than us having to go out and sell and present and all this kind of stuff. No, we're giving information to the marketplace and letting them decide. This is where you tell the story. Learn to tell the story. You know, we invest in affordable housing. For me, it typically means median price housing and below by purchasing distressed, undervalued properties. And we renovate these properties using local contractors and materials, stimulates our local economy rather than send your money to Wall Street, to provide safe, clean, and affordable housing for honest, hardworking families by utilizing private lender capital with loans that are secured by real estate, with substantial equity while providing a lender steady, predictable, above market rates of return. How does that sound like? Why don't you send your money to New York City with someone you don't know that's probably going to, you know, it could fluctuate. It could turn into nothing. They could end up in jail and you get nothing. How about you invest your money in a local piece of real estate with equity in it that you can drive around the corner and touch and see and feel it versus something that's a number on a screen that could evaporate tomorrow. You know, what Alex Hormozy says, make the offer so good they feel stupid not taking it. Y'all heard that? He's like, your offer needs to be so good they feel stupid not to take it. And to me, that's what this is. To me, that's what this is. That's why it's so easy. So if you build it, they'll come. Build what? You're going to have to do some work. Build a funnel. You guys have heard about funnels. What is a funnel? Create some awareness of what it is. Talk to the marketplace. Share it. Gauge their interest. That's up to them. Your job is to create the awareness, create the content, create that information, try to help people. If they're interested, they'll come forward. If they come forward, ask for information, get more information, then they get a decision to make. That's up to them. They take action and invest with you, or they don't. Either way, it doesn't matter. You've done your job. But you got to create content. And that's what I started learning years and years and years ago. This one video I put on there, that's from 2010. I have been in real estate 3 years, but I started learning things and seeing things, and I'm like, I didn't need to be up there on a whiteboard or whatever. I'm like, I got something to share. I'm going to share it. And you just teach from where you're at. You teach others and help others learn from where you're at. And you learn and you grow. And that could come in the form of blogging, those of you who like to write, in the form of, in a website, providing information, creating videos, sharing other people's videos, doing presentations. I've got a full-fledged presentation where you just kind of read the words and take people through the presentation. So I started doing that years ago, and it works. You guys follow me on social media, or some of you guys do, hopefully on my Instagram account, right? And so I posted this video, and I want you to see this, though, because the SEC is a real thing. Raising money is the wrong way. And I haven't hit on this too much. But when you are trying to, you're working on raising money, this is really important, guys, is like when you see my stuff, I'm not asking you, like, you don't see me go on social media, hey, I need you to invest in my deal. Like loan me money. Hey, I'm raising money for this deal. I have done that on a syndication where that particular deal, I'm authorized by the SEC on a particular deal. That's a different exception. This is general marketing. So if you watch this, what do I say? In the video, I don't know if I can play it. I'm not going to play it, but, I talk about, hey, this is a video of a property we're selling soon, has, significant equity, is going to give a good profit. It's not talking about me. This says investing in local real estate with local real estate investors can result in above market rates of return and positively impact the local economy by providing distressed properties and improving distressed properties and creating jobs for local contractors and businesses, creating win-win scenarios for all involved. Right? So I'm talking to the opportunity in general. And if you guys, I'm not going to do it now, you can watch this video. I posted a video and I take them through, I don't know if I can play it, but I'll fast forward. But I take them on a tour, right? That's choppy. I'll save you the time. But I just go through them, and I don't say invest with me. I just say, hey, have you heard about private mortgage lending? Do you know how it works? Do you know how it's out there? And I just give them some general information. Now, what happens a lot of the time when you go out and you're educating people and teaching them? Do they contact you or message you or follow up with you? Absolutely they do. That's how it works. And I'm not trying to raise all the money in the world. I just want where it's a good fit. There's so much money out there. Speaking, providing resources. Hey, do you need some consulting? Can I answer some questions? Do you want to learn how, are you lending a flip deal to an investor, or on a rental? Give them some tools. Give them some resources. This doesn't say for my deals. It'd be for anybody's deals. Help them out. And that's how it works, helping people. Now, I stumbled on, and the more that you do this, the more that you really, really invest in your business, and you put content out there, you help people, you train people, and do all those things. Like, you're just going to stumble on some things and get lucky on occasion. So what happened with us years ago was we, began collecting emails and names of potential lenders. And in the beginning, my list was, I had 3 lenders, and so I got a deal. I'm going to call them. Hey, I got a deal. 1, 2, 3, and hope one of them said yes. And then I got 10 emails, and then 20, and they got to a point where I can't make all those phone calls, right? So we just put them on a simple email list, right? So we started emailing the list out. Before it was just like through my Gmail account or whatever. But then we got, one of the email marketing campaign things, and where you can track stuff. So we said, anytime we got a deal, we're going to send it out and see who's interested in it. And so we've been doing this for a year or so, and every time we got a deal, so there's like multiple times a month, we'd email it out. Hey, here's a lending opportunity. Now, really important, I'm not putting this on Facebook to the world saying, hey, these were people I had an existing relationship with. I want to make that real clear. Okay, I wasn't spamming people. This was like, I knew these people, right? And so, just make that clear. And so I started putting these out. And so one day I got a response from this guy. I didn't remember meeting him. I'm like, who is this person? You know? And he's like, hey, I want to invest in your deal. And I was like, man, who's this guy? I was trying to remember when I met him. I was like, is he new? Has he been here a while? And I pulled up, I could open his like clicks and stuff like that on the emails. And he had been on our email list like 7 or 8 months. And every single deal we sent out, he was opening like 5 or 6 times. Like something like 10 times. He was opening up every single email a lot. And I was like, this is like, I was trying to figure out, is it a nice thing to do? What's going on? Da, 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 da. And so what I realized, like, man, this is some of the best marketing that we have. It's like, you saw the funnel, right? Like, so you create awareness, right? Captivate their interest. He was like trying to decide, like, well, am I going to do this or not? And maybe he was waiting for money to come in or not. But it's also that familiarity. One of the rules of marketing is like people need to be, you know, they need to see your message, your picture, your image. Like I've heard 7 times. I've heard now it's like 10 to 15 times. You know, people need to get comfortable with you. And so every time he's seeing these emails, I think he was probably getting more and more comfortable. Hey, these guys are legit. Hey, this is, you know, whatever it was. I was like, man, that turned out to be really good marketing. So this is something you guys are free to steal from me and swipe, and you absolutely should because it works. When you have a deal, I get it out there. Like cultivate those relationships. Now you should probably also be sending some other emails and some other information for them. But look, here we are. I've shared a lot of information. Don't want you to get too overwhelmed if you feel overwhelmed. But when it comes to raising money for your lenders, you know, think about this. Like there's a lot of different marketing strategies and lead valves. So start with the rule 1. Just pick one. Like some of you guys are like, I'm never doing video. I get it. You can say, well, but I like to write. Okay, blog. Maybe you share other people's videos. You know, think about it. Well, there's a lot of different ways you can do this. You can do a webinar. You can do a Zoom. You can do a little lunch and learn. There's a lot of opportunities here. You know, when you start creating opportunities, people are going to start reaching out to you. You know, getting clear on who you want to work with, what your business is going to look like. You know, what I mentioned earlier, you know, if you're working with people who are predisposed to real estate, I enjoy more because they have some knowledge. I feel like they're more equipped. If they don't, it's okay, but I want them to get some base level of knowledge. You do want to stay in control. I've had some lenders who want to kind of take control of the situation. No, I'm going to stay in control. You got to trust me on this. If you don't, that's okay, but it's not a good fit. People looking for low risk, like I said, I like to tell people, you know, and I jokingly say this, but I'm like, people are like, hey, how does this work? This and this and that, and, you know, get into details. And I'm like, look, here's the thing. Like I want you to pretend like I'm the next Bernie Madoff. Oh my God. Well, I'm like, think about it. Like, so if you were going into a deal, like how could you still safeguard yourself? Even if I'm a criminal, we're going to provide this, and that. They're still going to have security there. So I say it jokingly, but I like people who are like, hey, no, anything could happen. On my website that I use for raising money, there's a disclosure on there. Real estate's risky. Bad things can happen. We have to disclose all that stuff. So we like people like, okay, yeah, I'm educated enough to say I'm okay with that. And people are looking for reasonable returns. I get people say, I want 18% return. Not a good fit. You know, want people with reasonable returns. That's what we're looking for.
So what do you think is reasonable?
Depends. What would you be happy with? I'll show you in just a second. I'm going to show you in just a second. I like 18%. I get more than 18% with some of my investments. But I'm also not my ideal lender at the same time. You got to know how to answer these questions, okay, with your lenders. And then, like I said, I didn't say create the irresistible offer, but this is the Alex Hormozy. Create an offer they feel stupid about, right? So if you can communicate this message, have this conversation. It's going to be really hard for lenders who are looking to invest in real estate to say no. You've got a good deal. You're a good person. You can even, like, you make it better with a personal guarantee. I know a lot of investors won't provide a personal guarantee. There's some really successful investors. And I went through a period where I was like, I'm not going to do a guarantee because, you know, one of my buddies is very successful, doesn't do guarantees. So he got in a situation and he regretted it. I'm like, I'm just going to do guarantees. My word is my bond. I've always, you know, performed, and I don't see a situation where I don't. And if I don't, then oh well, I'm gonna take the licks. So I do it. Sometimes there's win-win variables. I don't know. There's other things like that are maybe negotiable. If you can make it win-win, then you do it. You always give 100% commitment, and they feel great. Like, you want your investors to be excited to invest with you. Like the most of my investors, like, are really, especially when they're first getting started, man, if they've just been used to like the stock market or something like that, they feel great. They tell their friends, they tell their family. I have lenders that's like, it's turned into millions and millions of dollars because, so this lady started, then her husband retired, then he invested, then his mother had money, she invested, she passed away, she had a lot of money. Several family members inherited it. They invested with me. Her cousin sold a business for 7 figures. They started investing with me. Literally, their son is invested with me now. Their son, not theirs. It's like, and then they've told friends, and it just starts to grow and grow and grow. You know, like gremlins, but nice gremlins. So I'm really transparent. So these are 12 flips that we have going on right now. At some point in the investment process, we've closed on it, renovating it, and some of these are on the market. One of them actually just sold a couple days ago. Several of these are under contract to sell. So this shows the purchase price, shows initial cost of repairs. Most of our deals we get 100% financing on. We get 100% financing on. It wasn't that way in the beginning. I did not get 100% financing in the beginning. I had to work to that and earn that trust. How do we get 100% financing? Good deals, good people. Deals, there has to be equity in the deals. There has to be equity in the deals. We were buying a deal one time, it was at like 60% LTV. My lender called me. She knew real estate. She called me and asked me if I wanted to borrow more money on the deal. This is a point in my business where I could use a little extra cash just to operate my business. What's the number one reason businesses go out of business, especially real estate investors? Cash flow. That's right. You hit the nail on the head. So it's not because they don't have a good business model. It's because of cash flow, right? We know 9 out of 10 businesses fail. That's something lenders need to be thinking about, because 9 out of 10 businesses fail. Maybe not 9 out of 10 real estate investors, because a lot of investors it's a side hobby, it's whatever. But guys who go full time, 9 out of 10 usually fail. Okay? So you got to think about that. So how you get 100% financing, number one, is good deals. We wouldn't take 100% if there's not enough, there's plenty of equity there. And on that deal, she said, hey, you want some extra money? I'm like, gee, let me think. I'm like, well, there is a lot of equity in here. I'm not sure if we're going to have to replace the AC or not. That could be like an extra $5,000. I could probably use an extra $5,000. She's like, well, if you don't borrow it, it's okay, but it's sitting in my IRA, and it's not going to earn me any interest. I trust you. If you want it, it's there. So that was with my old buddy. He called this, it makes its own gravy program. Not only you get the deal, you get a little gravy. But you got to have really good deals, okay, with the gravy. But as you can see, like, this is what we borrowed. This is our interest rates. I had not paid more than 10% in probably 5 years. I haven't until late last year. So when we send our emails, we let the market tell us, say, what rate of return are you happy with? And we did pay it. We had to close a couple deals real quick. These guys have got 12%, but there's no points. We're okay with that. More importantly, what did I just say that, like, what did we say is the most important thing, like, with investors staying in business? Cash flow. What do you see? What do you see in the payment method? Not applicable. Accrued interest. Accrued interest. Accrued interest. These are all accrued interest. What does that mean? Back end payments. We're not making payments on those loans every single month. Yes. What does that do to our cash flow? So we get the repair money up front, 100% with most of our lenders up front, and most of them we're not making a payment at all. When that deal sells, those are 12-month loans, right? So when that deal sells, at whatever point in time, they're getting all their principal plus interest. People don't even believe me. A lot of times I've shared this, like, you're lying. Okay, lying. Don't believe it. So it is true, and it's possible, once again, not to impress anybody, but to impress upon you what is possible, what's out there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said in the beginning, I'm usually putting some cash out of pocket. Most of these are all, no. The 12% guy is newer. I've worked with him a little bit, but not a lot. I've not paid more than a point in 10 years. We usually don't pay any, on blended half a point. I usually don't pay any points. More times than not, if we pay a point, we'll pay 1 point. So when you're working with private lenders, right, especially if they're a newer lender, I joke when I say this, you know, when we work with a private lender, it is like, what rate of return would you be happy with? That's the question. And if points never come up, it's never discussed, it's never asked, we don't pay a point. So I kind of joke, I'm like, I don't feel obligated to educate them on requesting a point. And I say that jokingly because I wrote a book that talks about points, so they could have read the book, you know. But a lot of times they don't ask, and money saved is money earned, and they're happy, so I'm happy. Yes, sir. No. So great question. So there's so much stuff, and I'm going to be doing a workshop, and I'll talk about it in a second if you guys want to come. We go into depth in that. We never pull money. So the rule is one lender, one lien. One lender, one lien. You never pull money. Okay, if you pull money, you're basically voiding the best thing that we have to offer, which is the security. Okay, there are ways that you can pull money, so for example, like we've done some syndications. So people put all their money in, but that's structured legally and properly where people are putting in. Pulling money, that's what this guy shared in one of the beginning slides. He's just raising money with no security with it at all. So it's a lot more work with what we do, in a sense, like one lender, one lien. Every time we have a property, we have to get a lender. We've got to get a set of loan documents, the title, commitment, insurance, all for that lender. Okay? So these are just flips right now. We've got owner finance notes and rentals, all that kind of stuff. Mobile home parks, you guys know I like mobile home parks. Bought 3 mobile home parks, with it 4 mobile home parks. Now with private money, we bought an RV park, doing a mobile home, manufactured home subdivision. We bought 3 tracts of land, all like in the last 2 years. So I'd say like I took some downtime the last 2 years. I've been doing this stuff. This was a syndication. This was a syndication. This was actually not a syndication, me and a couple buddies, but we did raise about $550,000 to buy 197 acres in Angleton for 1.7. It's listed for 4.1. No, we're flipping all of them. We're flipping the land. We're going to develop this one. I'll share the story when I'm done. You know, I think it's going to work out well. We bought it for 8, and we've got it listed for 30 an acre. We've got interest. We were just under contract at 23 an acre. Busted out, but we're in a real good place. So Yeah. So I can get into syndication stuff, just not tonight, because it's a whole different. It's been a weekend boot camp talking about syndications. And when you start doing it, guys, I know this doesn't happen overnight, but it really does. Like on a level, like your lenders will, when you're doing things the right way, your lenders are going to become an advocate for you. Now your lenders are going to, if you're doing it the right way, they will begin to do the marketing for you. Right? If somebody's happy with a service, right, or product, well, they share it with people. You know, you see this on social media, you see it in real life. When somebody's happy about, when someone's happy about their investments, like they do like to brag about it, and that's what happens. This is in my book. I'm not going to read it, but in the book, so one of my lenders wrote kind of like the introduction, essentially the foreword, and he said we found a better way, and it's just a beautiful piece of a writing that he did that really told the story so well. If I had time, I would read it. I'm not going to tonight. It's kind of lengthy, but it's really good. As we found a better way, which is kind of the private lending experience. So we covered a lot today. We covered a lot. Everybody happy? Did y'all get a lot from this? Yeah. So this is the tip, really the tip of the iceberg. I could talk about this a lot more. That almost everything we talked about, like we were fairly surface. We can go deep on all those levels. And so I'm going to put on a one-day workshop for those of you guys who want to go much deeper. It's a Raising Private Money workshop, and it is going to be May 6th, 2023. If you sign up today, it's $97. There's the QR code. What are we going to cover? Everything we talked about today, but much deeper, like going through the full process of the cycle, email marketing, PowerPoint presentations, forms, how to utilize video marketing, building out funnels, social media, websites. Like we've got some done for you websites we can do. And I'll even show you, it's not included in the thing, but I'm showing you what I've been working on. Two other things I've been working on is empowering, like I like to motivate, educate, inspire, and equip others to do the same things or even better. And one of the ways to do is like publishing and becoming an authority, so to speak, is incredibly powerful. So we actually put together a program, and we help other investors become an author. And so we basically reduced down my Private Lender Playbook, right, to a self-published book. And you can see it's Sherry and Brant Phillips, like co-authoring. So she's not saying, hey, I wrote this book, so I co-authored it. And they basically, it's a done-for-you book. And this is with Tim Davis. He's out in Florida. So we get into like some deep strategies in this workshop that we have time for that we don't tonight. But that's it, guys. Really have fun tonight. It's good getting back out and sharing, and hopefully inspired you guys to go out and take some action and start doing some deals. So thank you all very much.